Keep your language clean. I think if Senator Tina Smith said what she said on X about Elon Musk on one of our accounts, she might have gotten blocked or filtered out. Senator Tina Smith, who has apparently gone straight up unleashed now that she has announced that she's not running for re-election, referred to, well, I don't even know if I can say what she called Elon Musk on the radio. Dan, am I allowed? I mean, the last time I asked Dan if I was allowed to say something on the radio,
we weren't on the same page.
We were on a different.
That didn't work out so well.
He said yes and thought I meant something else.
Saying something else.
I don't think I can say that.
Well, what you can say is she called him a Richard.
I think people know.
I think people understand what that means.
She said that Elon was I mean, have I used this word to describe my boss before? Yes, absolutely. This is all about Elon Musk asking federal employees, well, really telling federal employees, what'd you do? Give me 5 things you've done at work last week. And if you don't respond, it'll be taken as a resignation. Now, almost all of this has been walked back by the administration. There still, despite what the Trump administration and Elon Musk think, there is something called human resources. There are certain rights that we have as workers. Although I will say, like, I don't know, man. Like, this company got pulled out of bankruptcy by new leadership. There's a new interim CEO at this company. There'll be a new, and look, the poobahs at Audacy, the parent company, WCCO Radio, those people, as far as I could tell, didn't give a rip about my show before we were in bankruptcy. I'm not certain why they would give a rip about my show afterwards. But if I got an email asking me what I did last week, I guess I just send links to the show. I don't know. This is what 5 things you did last week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 to 6. That's what I did. That's not what I want to talk about from you guys. It's potty mouth. It's profanity. We say we want our politicians to get real and talk like we do. And the truth is, we as a society have never been more profane. I don't love it. I grew up Catholic. If I said shut up in my house, I would get my mouth washed out with soap. I mean, could you imagine? Like, if I told my kids that I was going to wash their mouth out with a bar of soap and a neighbor heard it, I'd probably get the cops called on me. But we are more profane today. And so when Senator Tina Smith said this is the ultimate Richard boss move from Musk, except he isn't even the boss, he's just a Richard. Whoa. Does that bother you? 651-461-9226. You can reach out via text. You can reach out via phone call, and you can always leave us a message on the Audacy voice app. There's a voice microphone right next to where you listen live, and you can click that and send a message directly to us in the studio. Now, I will say this. I wasn't that surprised to hear or to read this kind of language from Senator Tina Smith. And I say that, I know some of you maybe were surprised. I say that I was not that surprised that she called Elon Musk a Richard. Because, well, the last time she was on the morning show with Vanita, I to be honest, I was a little surprised. I was listening at home. It was very, it's early in the morning. I just woke up. I had my cup of coffee. I'm enjoying the morning news with Vanita Sakar right here on WCCO Radio. And she's like, oh, I got Tina Smith. And at first I was mad. I'm like, Cook, how come you didn't get Tina Smith? But take a listen to what this is U.S. Senator Tina Smith said right here on the News Talk 50,000 watt AM traditional radio station here in Minnesota.
Well, good morning, Vanita. It's so good to be with you this morning here from DC. And yes, I'm happy to talk about this this that we've been voting on this week in the Senate. And this legislation is sort of a solution to what happened with her, but it is actually not a good solution at all.
Yeah. I mean, that was wow, right?
I mean, that's strong.
That was in a live interview. I mean, wow. 651-461-9226. I tend to believe that when most people are freaking out about the language of a public official, they're freaking out about the language of a public official that they disagree with. But I don't know. That's why I ask you, 651-461-9226. I don't use profanity, and neither do my two college-age sons, says a 612 texter. Both are athletes and outdoorsmen. I expect better from our politicians. Another texter said, regarding Tina Smith on Musk, I'm never offended by the truth. I mean, it is sort of a Richard move, right? Hi, I'm the new boss. I need you to tell me 5 things that you did last week. I get it. Now, we have had a stretch of these little mini kerfuffles, right? And a lot of texters pointing out Donald Trump's language. And I went back kind of thinking through some of the times that we talked about language in politicians. And Donald Trump, I think, has widely been praised for, by supporters anyway, for telling it like it is. I didn't love it when he said that former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg just has a good line of BS, except he didn't say BS. Now, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, when he was running for vice president, talked about Elon Musk, saying Elon's on that stage jumping around, skipping like a dip. Yeah. I don't know that this type of language, I don't know, man. Like, I would like it to bother me, but it doesn't. Profanity is everywhere. I'm more bothered by, when I'm at a sporting event and I hear people swear with like little kids all around. I don't know if this goes to like, has there been this debasing of society? The fact that we allow profanity to be so commonplace? I don't know. Jason, Tina's become very brave with her language now that she has nothing to lose. Now, that is so interesting. Because in a way, that's almost a bigger indictment of Tina Smith, right? That she didn't have the guts to be this outspoken when she thought maybe she was running for re-election, when she thought she had something to lose. Now, the caveat I always have on these things is, do we think this was Tina Smith? Or like, how workshopped was this post, right? Because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who is an executive. And she was telling me, like, she's not allowed to post anything. She does not have unfettered access to her own social media, that her staff is like, no, it's got to go through me. Lots of text coming in. I'll share more of your text on Senator Potty Mouth. Maybe you want more of this. Do you want more of this or less of this? We are talking about Senator Potty Mouth. I don't know. Senator Tina Smith, she always seems so dang nice. And then this weekend, not only did she call Elon Musk a Richard, then she added, I'm on the side of the workers, not the billionaire a-hole bosses. Youch. Is this what we want? Let's go to Carter in Minneapolis at 651-461-9226. Carter, you're on the air. What do you think?
Hey, Jason. Yeah, my biggest concern with language like this is, we expect diplomacy from our elected officials in government. And when it gets broken down into something like this, well, I mean, I can appreciate the sentiment on on the basis of just talking to someone who isn't in the government, but I do expect a protocol and a decorum set for people who we elect to run our country.
Yeah, I suppose that's the other issue, right? Where you say this is, in a way, it's pandering, right? Like we hear this and we're like, yeah, that's real talk. I agree with that, or I'm mad and I disagree with it. But it doesn't really get us anywhere towards like having better discussions, better dialogue, better diplomacy, better anything. It doesn't really get us anywhere.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's what I think for sure. It's like diplomacy is a hard skill to learn, but if you are running for office, you should be practicing it.
Yeah. Carter, thank you. Good call. 651-461-9226. It's not so much that I'm against politicians using vulgar language, says a 507 texter. It's more that I want civil debate. Sort of the same thing Carter was getting at, right? Swearing is often used as a weapon to degrade and discredit. Yeah. Now, what I think happens here is that if you are a lefty, you were really mad whenever Donald Trump says anything profane, or when Elon Musk posts these memes all the time with offensive language, offensive themes. If you're a righty, you're like, this is outrageous. This Tina Smith language, like what? I don't. Maybe it's all just performative, right? Like nobody really cares. Nobody really cares. That's sort of like, I will tell you, when I was first thinking about this, Dan, I was ready to come on and be like, this is outrageous. This is the debasing of our society. I would like my children to look up to U.S. Senator. This is the sort of stuff you expect in the House, right? Like, we want the president to be respectable. I do. I know, like, whatever. That ship has sailed, right? And a texture decorum. Look at the president. Like, yep, I didn't vote for the guy. Okay. Now, does it really matter? I find myself much more ambivalent about this than I expected to be, because this is how people talk. If we say that we want our political leaders to be authentic and to be like us instead of being the best version of us, then so what? So what?
Well, I think you hit on exactly the matter right there, right? What do we really want? Do we want them to be authentic and just like us, or do we want them to be some better, best version of our society and what we want to be? Because it used to be best and the brightest was always the goal. And then somewhere late 90s, early 2000s, it became, no, we want them to be relatable. We want them to be the person we could go have a beer with. And those two things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, but we are going towards a situation where it's one at the exclusion of the other.
It's a little bit of a theme that you've talked about before, where people want the fight more than anything else.
Exactly.
And a lot of the texts are saying this, right? Like, go Tina, it's comforting to know that someone is pushing back against this scary takeover. A lot of people saying, decorum, look at the president. Like, that's not my point. My point is, and also if you're, now I'm arguing the other way. If your defense of this is that the president is a Richard, like, I'm sorry, you've lost the argument right there.
Exactly.
Because we know, America knew and they voted for him. And so, not everyone, but the majority of the people who came out voted for him. Another texture, if you listen to anything coming out of Trump's month, as soon as Democrats get feisty, it's terrible. So sick of the Republicans can say anything they want. Give me a giant break.
Just such utter nonsense. Such utter nonsense.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it hasn't been pointed out 1,000 times when the president uses vulgar or disgusting language towards somebody or calls somebody a name that we'd prefer
we've
people not.
We've called it out.
I mean, 1,000 times.
But maybe we shouldn't. What I'm saying now is that maybe it doesn't really matter. I personally am a little disappointed that we've sort of decided that we don't need our politicians to be the best versions of us. We don't
Yeah.
need them to be people we can look up to.
I think in general, the electorate doesn't care. I think that's evidenced by the fact
Pretty
of,
obvious,
you know,
right?
who we're voting for and what we're defending, essentially. So no, I mean, people want to perform as though it matters. They want to say, oh, no, I want decorum. I want, you know, all of this. But when it comes down to the bottom line, when they're in the voting booth and nobody can know what they're saying or how they really feel, this is what we want.
And I guess my question to the people on the left who are texting in with various examples of the outrageous and disgusting and offensive things that President Donald Trump has said, I guess the question you need to ask yourself is, so you're okay with all that then? Like, is that the argument that, like, I guess I just don't know what the argument is. Is it like, well, Trump is bad, so we should be bad too? Is it that none of this really matters? I think in general, most people who express an opinion on this are full of crap. I think most of you are upset at someone that you just politically disagree with. That's
the
pretty
bottom
much
line. Is it's okay if our person does it, but if when
now,
that
I
person
think
does it-
Carter, who called in, was saying like he's inclined to agree with what Tina Smith is saying, but like that's a more of an intellectually honest argument that like I don't prefer this for anybody,
Yeah.
even from somebody that I agree with.